presentation for you. I'm just going to share some of the work that we've been doing in Alzheimer Scotland before the pandemic, and really just what we've been doing more recently as well, actually. So just to really begin the conversation about activity and the importance of it. So thank you.
That's great, thanks Elaine. And for those of you who have not met myself before, my name is Amanda McCarran and I am the Head of Development and the National Lead for TIDE in Scotland, so I oversee all the work that we do here. And I'm going to introduce two of my colleagues today who are two of our carer involvement leads. So we have Ray Fallon, Ray wants to give us a wave, and Louise Anderson, who is our carer involvement lead as well, and both of them will be talking to you about some of our carer perspectives around about activities later in the webinar. So if we want to just start now, Elaine, if you want to kick off. So just remember, if you've got any questions or anything comes up, please feel free to use the chat box throughout, and we've got a section at the end for quick Q&A where we can put the questions to some of our speakers if you'd like to ask any additional questions.
I'm just going to get this so you can see the whole thing. There we go. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to take you through a piece of work, as I said earlier, that we've been doing within Alzheimer Scotland. All the work I'm going to share with you is on the Alzheimer Scotland website, but just for ease of access, I've also sent it all to Amanda. So if you want to find out any more or you need any more information, my email is there, and you can also contact Amanda and also Nikki at Alzheimer Scotland. So the topic today is I'm just going to share with you your whole themes about meaningful activities and connection with caring for someone with dementia. I'm just going to just share with you some of the work we've been doing about activities at home and ideas from an occupational therapist. On the call as well, we've got two occupational therapy students with us, so delighted, the three of us are delighted to be here. The two students are Claire and Jill, so thank you very much for letting us join you. My job in Alzheimer Scotland is to work with allied health professionals. And not everybody knows who an AHP is. So I just thought, even though I'm talking about activity, I just wanted to just highlight as well that I work with dietitians, occupational therapists, what I am, physiotherapists, podiatry, and speech and language. So maybe during this conversation or another time, Amanda, we could speak or have other people come to speak to. Our dietitians are really about eating well, physiotherapy around sort of physical activity, podiatrists around foot care, and speech and language therapists can help around communications and eating and swallowing. And we've got some work we've been doing with them as well. There's a website link there, Amanda, that we've got other work there as well that people can access, but that's not for today. I was just conscious actually, so why occupation and why activity for all of us? And one thing, particularly when I started in this job within Alzheimer Scotland, just the importance of occupation, what does it mean and why activity? And you'll know yourself just how great that is when you're involved in something that feels really meaningful to you. And so I look at the work with Tom Kitwood around occupation, and he speaks about the 5 psychological needs when people are living with dementia, and equally when people are caring for somebody with dementia. And as an occupational therapist, I love the part of the flower that talks about occupation, the blue bit in that flower, and that's why I often go back to that, because all these 5 areas are important for all of us in all walks of life. And then occupational therapists, we look at occupation and we use it in part of our treatment when we work with people. And when I looked at the Royal College of Occupational Therapists website as the best way to define us and what we do, it says occupational therapists provide practical support to help you do the activities that matter to you. And that's the most important bit. So what do people enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing? And the person you live with. So I was working with all these allied health professionals. I keep putting that rainbow up because it just feels like life was turned on its head when the pandemic arrived and all the restrictions that we're still slightly under as well. So that's just, I'm going to share with you some of the work that we've done sort of really quickly around activities, particularly in the home. So one of the leaflets we designed, it's myself and Alison McKean, an occupational therapist also in Alzheimer Scotland, is we designed this leaflet. It's on the Alzheimer Scotland website, and just how do you get started doing activities? When we were writing it, we were thinking about people with dementia and equally sort of family carers and supporters, and give you some sort of ideas of what to do. The keeping in touch highlights about actually making sure you stay in touch with family. We've had to do that through technology. Keeping active, it's really important we keep moving. Sometimes even just when you're watching the TV, when adverts are on, just standing up for a couple of minutes and then sitting down again. Some ideas for activities at home. You might not be able to see that on the slide, but I can send these things to you. Importance also about sort of relaxing in 5 minutes, because not everybody's got time to do a full relaxation sort of technique. So we've got a 5 minutes in relax in 5 minutes. Some ideas for sleeping routines. We've got an interest checklist at the back of that piece of that information sheet, and other helpful tips to take part in activities at home. The other thing we did as well, because we're really trying to think of other ways, not everybody wants to be reading an information leaflet. So Alison and I have done a podcast just to reinforce some of those ideas as well. And again, the link's there, Amanda, for folk to share and have a look at, and let us know what you think. You might think we speak for too long. It might not be what you're looking for. So we're really welcome to have any feedback. And then the second leaflet we did, we were really conscious actually, how do we support family carers during this time as well, and to do activities at home. So we've done a leaflet, particularly hopefully trying to talk to yourselves as carers. Hopefully we've pitched it right. If we haven't, happy to have that feedback, because we do need to update it. Some of the tips, ideas that we're talking about is just start small when you're starting an activity. Don't always feel you have to finish something from the very outset. Develop something and do an activity that you know the person's interested, or new interest, or an interest you've got yourselves. Matching ability, that was just being sort of practical things which I think you will probably know about. If you're needing glasses, to put them on, make sure they're clean, and type of things like that. Positive feedback, and really setting up the activity, base activity, and what you know will be enjoyed. Start small, focus on enjoyment and taking part of the activity rather than end result and have fun. And we're really thinking if one of the activities is about baking a cake, just go and buy one of the ones that are already made, and all you need to do is add eggs on. So just these type of things where we're thinking of. And again, the written word isn't for everybody, so we've done a podcast, so do feel free to have a listen to that. And if you think we're missing anything, which I'm really interested in the sort of conversation we're going to have at the end of today, we can update the leaflet based on feedback as well. The other thing we did really last year, and we designed it really quickly, is we've got an interactive website called Connected People, Connecting Support Online. I would love if you could go and have a look at it. There's 32 folders in there. When you go into each folder, so the one you can see with the cat in it is called Billy the Cat. I just think he's lovely because he looks really cozy there. That topic's about sleep, but when you go into each of these folders, we've got 4 other resources in there. There's always a box around chat, because sometimes just beginning the conversation about something, whether it's about relaxation or a hobby and interest. So for weaving, we give 5 questions that you can get started. There's another box in there that's sort of the try box, and that's got some practical activities you can do, from making sort of bird feeders outside, doing origami, doing a memory book, a sleep diary. The play section's always got a word search in it. It's electronic. Every time you do it and you've succeeded in it, I'm not very good at word searches, it changes when you go back to do it in any of these 32 folders. And then there's a more folder as well. So there's always other things that you can have a look at as well. Some of the work's by Alzheimer Scotland, or it could be from a choir group. So there's a lot of information in there. That's the website. I've sent it to Amanda. There's a postcard that goes with it. But to support that piece of work, we've also got a booklet that goes with that you can print at home, because not everybody's got access to Wi-Fi or a computer. Again, it's very practical things that are in it. I can easily go through. We've got enough time, Amanda, but if not, you have it. I've given Amanda the coloured version, and there's also black and white, because again, not everybody's got a coloured copy. And again, we'd love to get some feedback from you on that. The other thing we did, because we thought leaflets are fine, podcasts are fine, and a website's great, and also a booklet's great on things you can do at home and activities at home, but sometimes what you want is actually just to ask somebody a question. How do I do this? What do I do if I can't get even started, or something like that? So Alison McKean, who couldn't join us today, every Wednesday from 11 till 12, she has an advice clinic that you can phone up. We advertise it through Alzheimer Scotland website. I can easily send this link to Amanda to send on. So really, if you've got questions, Alison will do her best to answer them. If it's about needing access to occupational therapy and NHS or social work, we can try and link it up But that's how we've tried to do it. So leaflets, podcasts, the website, the practical booklet, and actually sometimes what you want is just to ask somebody that question. And so Alison is there pretty much, unless she's on holiday, every Wednesday between 11 and 12, and we can make sure we send these links to Amanda. And I guess I've shared with you just some of the work, and I'm really delighted to be here, and I'm really interested to hear from some of the stuff I've just shared with you. What did you like about it? Leaflets, podcast, booklet, website, somebody to talk to, but what would make it even better? And what's missing? What do you think we've missed that we're not quite meeting the needs of family carers? So I'm really interested. Might not have time today, but I've put my email at the back, so you can get in contact with me, or I can link with Amanda and Louise and Ray as well, and Nikki, to get that right for you. So thank you. Hopefully I've kept within my time.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, Elaine. And just to let everyone be reassured, as well as the recordings, what will happen is I will have all of the links and all of the resources that Elaine's spoken about, and we'll make sure that you get them sent out to you in emails and as a follow-up from today's session. But also after each of the webinars that we run, we're going to be creating a handout as well with all of the information. So I'll have all of the slides that are used during the webinars, and I'll have any links or any kind of signposting or resources that will be helpful. So they'll all be getting sent out to you as well as a registrant for each of the webinars. So you'll get lots of opportunity to access those resources. And I think they are a really good way to try and think about some of the different things that you might want to be doing. That's great. Thanks very much for that, Elaine. So as Elaine said, there'll be a chance later on to ask some questions. So if you've got any questions about if you're maybe worried about trying activities at home, or maybe you have tried some things at home and it's not worked out, then please feel free to ask us. If we don't know the answer to the question, we'll find it for you and we'll get back to you, and we'll make sure that we get those answers for you. Okay, next up is Cara. Cara's going to talk through her digital art project for us. Cara, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's lovely to be here. I'm Cara Rooney and I work for Dundee Dementia Resource Centre for Alzheimer Scotland. I'll just share my screen. Okay. So this is the story about how we created digital art workshops during the pandemic. This was the first one. So this is called the Creative Christmas Digital Workshop, and it ran through December. So Nikki, as you heard from earlier, she's my manager, and she was eager in helping me develop a group of art activities. And this was just after I came back from furlough. So we were thinking of some different ideas. And as you can see, the first idea was to create things for family, like smaller decorations and things to bring a little joy into the home. And the second idea was one longer activity, which would be completed over 4 weeks towards Christmas time. And this would be something really personal and would be to brighten the home or to give to family members and be really significant to each individual. You can see on the left there, that's a photograph from a session run by Crossreach Heart for Art. And they're a really great organisation. I took inspiration from the process that we follow there. So they'd normally have a collection of photos and calendars that the individuals with dementia would choose from. But on that occasion there, the man brought in a photo of his flowers that he'd taken to a fruit and food festival in his gardening collection. So we decided to paint the flowers that he had. And this was nice as it meant that the painting was really significant to him. And we could chat about what it meant to him as well throughout the process. So that was really nice. So this is how the group ended up working. So we found people through the people that we already knew through Alzheimer Scotland. And the group costed £20, and that included the art materials as well. And the group was delivered through weekly, hourly sessions on Microsoft Teams. So Sandra was a lady that we'd identified as benefiting from art therapy activities, but she was unable to join us digitally. So I began to do art therapy home visits with Sandra, which was great. And I was able to get her engaged with things when her husband felt like he couldn't. And then Joe came along to lots of the digital activities and became interested in the art group. He used to paint as a hobby prior to his diagnosis with dementia. And as his wife Doris says here, in the past, Joe had done quite a bit of painting and the family were delighted that he would maybe start again and enjoy it. This was great. So he began doing it again during lockdown, and it was nice for him to get back to that hobby. And then Malcolm was another participant in the art group, and he was an attendee of other digital groups too. Malcolm hadn't painted since he was in school, so that was over 50 years ago, but he was looking for a way of embracing new hobbies and activities. So this is how the material side of things worked. First, each person chose a place that was special to them. And then I drew a snowy photo of that place out on a canvas in pencil to give them a head start with the painting. So that gives them a little bit of confidence as well. So this was then delivered in accordance with the health and safety guidance with acrylic paints, a printed photo of the place and a palette and brushes as well. The places of choice, as you can see here, were Dunnottar Castle on the top right there, and then the Law on the bottom right, and a snowy village in England as well. So Joe and Doris's reasoning for the choice of the Law was because they regularly took visitors up there and would go for walks in the area, so it was an obvious choice for them. So during each session, I began by going through some painting techniques and showed lots of inspiring paintings. And I really wanted to get across the idea that it was all about enjoying the process rather than coming out with a perfect painting at the end. There's lots of different ways to paint and you're not limited in one specific style. So it was all about enjoying it. So you didn't need to produce a realistic image. So I showed lots of different styles like the ones you can see here. And I love the way that the person uses the brush on the top left one to create the impression of the fields as well, which is lovely. We watched some videos of Bob Ross finishing his winter paintings as well, which was great. And then we looked at colour mixing as well so that people could get used to the different ways of making colours with the acrylic paint. So I also showed lots of snowy photos as inspiration as well, similar to the pictures that we were working with. So we looked at Scottish artists, UK-based artists, and some international ones that you might recognise as well, such as Van Gogh and Monet for inspiration. So I was always trying to emphasise the fact that you can work in lots of different ways and that was okay. Realism is just one style of painting, so it's really just about having fun. And then during the last session before Christmas, my presentation focused on the creative things that were going on in the city as well. And this was to kind of make people feel more connected with everything going on because everyone I was working with was quite isolated at that point in time, shielding because of the virus. So this was a project called Dundee Windows in which artists would take over unused shop spaces and convert them into big art pieces, which was lovely and nice and winter inspired as well. So let's get to the painting. So each of the sessions tended to be about 10 minutes of the presentation I spoke about, and the rest was purely based on the interaction between the participants and doing the painting as well. So during each session, they would show me and other participants their paintings and how they were getting on with them, ask for tips and advice on colour mixing as well. And we would discuss why the places were special to us, which was great as well, because it was so person-centred. And it was lovely to be in a small group because people could really develop friendships over this time as well. And we could catch up with each other each time. So this was Alice. She's a carer that would normally frequent lots of different art groups in Dundee as an outlet. And she was not able to do that when lockdown began because they all stopped. So she joined us as well. And that was lovely because she said it made her want to paint again after not painting in months. So here are some more progress with the paintings. It was actually lovely to see how Doris, Joe's wife and carer, progressed with the sessions as well. In the beginning, she would be quite frustrated with mixing the colours correctly, but she kind of develops confidence, as you'll see, which is great. And then at the end, as you'll see, we all show each other the paintings to see how we've gotten on during the hour. So this was from Joe and Doris as well, and they've said that the workshops have given their weeks a sense of focus, and as well as the actual painting, they've gotten to know the others in the group, and they have a great catch up every time, which is lovely. And this is a very blurry picture from the last session before Christmas. As you can see, Alice is all dressed up in her Christmas outfit for the occasion, and I'm wearing my snowball jumper. So this was some feedback that we had from the group. So Malcolm said that he found the process of colour mixing difficult at times, but that the guidance has helped him gain some confidence. Malcolm's wife Pam actually got in touch with me between this group ending and the next group starting to ask for additional videos and guides on colour mixing, which was great because he was eager to improve his skills. So it meant that he had something to focus on even when the workshop wasn't running. And he's continued with the workshops as well, and you'll see him do really good things in the next few images. So this is from Joe and Doris as well. And they said that when their family saw the painting, the reaction was amazing, and they were all so pleased and proud of what their dad had done. They said that it was their youngest daughter, Joanne, who was the most emotional. She lives in Wales and was missing everyone so much, so Joe promised to send her the painting, and she already had a wall for it. So she will have a painting of the law which she loves, and one that her dad painted for her as well. And I'm very happy to say that the painting actually made it to Wales. And here she is on the morning she received the painting. This was lovely as it meant that she was more connected with her family, her dad and home through the painting until they could meet properly again. So these were some of the positive outcomes I've identified for the people with dementia and carers that attended the group. They have learned and developed a new skill during an otherwise stagnant time in lockdown. And they've interacted with and built new relationships with people and benefited from the therapeutic benefits of painting. And they've established a sense of accomplishment as well for the individuals living with dementia and their carers too. It's great as well because at the end they have a painting that they can continue to see and enjoy and show everyone when they come to their house. So these are two of the later workshops. So since the Christmas workshop, we've had a Burns inspired Scottish landmarks group and a Signs of Spring group as well. And here are some photos from the Scottish landmark group here. So we all chose to paint some castles. So we've all got our Scottish castles. I got St Andrew's Castle, and we had Broughty Ferry Castle and Edinburgh Castle as well. As you can see, Doris has developed her confidence with colour mixing and is even putting some paint on the canvas as well, which is great. So the spring one was really focused on looking forward to brighter times. Here are some photos from that group. So people picked nice daffodil covered pictures, lots of flowers and trees and things. And this was really about looking forward to things easing and the summer coming as well. And this was a quote from Margaret, who's recently joined us for the groups. And she's actually from Moray, so we're open to people from all over Scotland now. And Margaret says that she found it very difficult when she was confined to the house and she wasn't able to see anyone. And the group opened up a new door to her that she didn't know was there, and she's so grateful for the company. So that's really nice to have her involved as well. And this is the group that just started up yesterday. So this is called On Our Holidays Painting Workshop. So we're all painting holiday destinations that we've been to in the past or places that we'd love to go in future as well. And you can see there featured right in the middle is Malcolm's painting, which he's really proud of. After not having much confidence with colour mixing before, he really loves his new painting, so that's great. And this was the first session of the new group yesterday. So we were actually joined by the Dementia Dog Project yesterday. And this was for a paint by numbers activity, which was great fun. So Georgie the dog would go and pick the colours that we had to paint with, and the coloured pictures were all numbered. So we could create our rainbow dog picture from all the colours the dog chose. That was a lot of fun. So I just thought I'd finish on this quote from Doris. She says that The workshops have brought Joe back to a skill he had forgotten he still had, and brought Dad back to our family as well. So thank you very much for listening, and for Nikki for all the help as well. I'm happy to answer any questions too. Okay.
That's great, thank you, Cara. That was really interesting, really great to see everyone embracing art, because I think sometimes people are frightened of it, aren't they, sometimes, and think they can't do it, and then actually you can really get into it once you start. So that was really great to see everyone doing that. So yeah, there'll be opportunities later on in the session to ask Cara any questions you might have about her specific project, or even just, I think, Cara, about how people might even want to start if they're just at home themselves, starting to do some painting and so on. I think would be really good as well. Okay, we're now going to move on to Louise and Ray, who are our care involvement leads at Tide, and they're going to talk a little bit about some of the feedback that we've had from some of our carer members round about activities, and I think some of the different issues that might occur, and then they've also got some ideas and inspiration for things that you can try as well based on activity. So is Louise first? Are you going first, or Ray?
First.
Yeah, Louise. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Amanda says, I'm Louise, and I'm one of the carer involvement leads for Tide. And today I have the pleasure of sharing one of our carer stories with yourselves. Basically, the carer's name is Caroline, and as I said, Caroline is one of our Tide members. She so wanted to be here today. However, she said, when I wake up, she says, I've got the choice of coming on to the webinar, she says, or getting myself all ready for my niece's wedding tomorrow. She said, so I'm sorry, the choice is, she says, I'm getting all prepared and excited about that. She says, however, I want to be able to share what has been a meaningful activity for me in my caring role, which is an early caring role for her. So what I would like to do, I'd like to share my screen so that I can try and give you a little flavour of Caroline's personality and also what she looks like. And then I plan to tell Caroline's story in her words, if that's okay. So let's hope this comes up. Okay, so the first picture that you can see here is down the bottom, and you'll see that I've put, look, Caroline there. This is Caroline as a young child on the photograph on the left, and on the right you can see Caroline as she is today. So Caroline, as I say, she's one of our Tide members, and she asked me if I would speak on her behalf today. Caroline and her sister are both carers for her aunt, and you can see Alison in the picture on the right there. For some time, both Caroline and Alison observed that there had been a number of changes in their aunt's behaviour, and they noticed that her short-term memory had really started to deteriorate, and she was forgetting so many things, like taking her medication or over-medicating at times as well. So it was very, very difficult for them, because they were the sort of main people in their Aunt Mina's life. So they had the role of contacting the GP, contacting the community psychiatric nurse, and trying to establish what was going on for Aunt Mina. So with difficulty, as I say, they did kind of go round the houses to get as much help as possible, and they said that they felt very, very supported. Sadly, Aunt Mina was given a diagnosis of dementia during lockdown, and things for her had deteriorated really quite quickly, and safety became a really, really big issue. And because it wasn't safe for her to live independently and be at home, they had to look at what decisions or what options were available for them. So as I say, it's just to give you a little bit of background to Caroline's caring role. But now what I would like to do is, in Caroline's words, tell you what she wanted to say if she would have been here today. So this is Caroline's words. I am a carer for my Aunt Mina. Me and Aunt Mina had such a close relationship. She and my mum were very close sisters too, but sadly I lost my mum to cancer some years ago. I can recall when I was growing up that Aunt Mina would take me and my siblings on days out, and we would spend many days with her during our summer holidays. We have lots of lovely memories and times that we spent together as a family. But I can tell you my Aunt Mina is a stubborn lady in her own way, but she always showed us love and affection. When it would come to Boxing Day, we would all gather and we would all go round to Aunt Mina's, and she would love having us all there. My Aunt Mina never married. The church was her life. Prior to her Alzheimer's diagnosis, we would plan days out, and we would often go on bus trips, and we'd go all around Scotland and spent some lovely days together. She would also take my nieces on trips, and they would go to the zoo. One of the things that my Aunt Mina always did was check in with me with regards to all her birthdays, making sure that she had all the dates and that she had appropriate gifts and cards for us all. One of her hobbies was she enjoyed going to the bingo, but as I say, the main thing where she was involved was in the church. The church played a big part in her life. And during lockdown, Aunt Mina underwent an operation, and she was in hospital for quite some time. Staff in the hospital, in consultation with herself, felt that it was no longer possible for Aunt Mina to live independently and be safe at home. And therefore it was decided that she would be discharged from the hospital to the care home. That came with many challenges. I can tell you it wasn't easy. It was a hard decision to be part of, and it was very, very emotional for us all. My sister Alison and I had the difficult task of also giving up her home too. She was very, very angry at us for doing this, and she told us she wanted to be home and she wanted to be in her own surroundings. When she was in the care home, she would call us 20 to 30 times a day, and she would be in distress, and the care home staff would try their best to settle her, and it wasn't always possible. It was hard to accept that I could no longer do the same activities with her that we used to do together. Those first couple of visits that I had with my aunt were very, very challenging, and she was very, very angry at everyone because she couldn't stay in her own home. So I spent time as best I could trying to cheer her up. But thankfully, I can now tell you that she's now settled in the home and she's getting on with everyone. The first couple of visits, as I say, were very, very difficult. However, I decided that I wanted to make the most of the time that I got to spend with my aunt. As I only have one visit a fortnight due to the restrictions that are currently in place. I thought hard and long about what I might do with my Aunt Mina. So I suggested to her that we maybe sort out some plant pots and work around the raised beds that were in the garden of the care home. I can't put into words the joy that it brought to see my aunt engage with me in doing like the weeding and the potting. To say it was good is an absolute understatement. Just to see that smile on her face again and know that she was doing something that she was enjoying brought me so much comfort. I know the visits are making a difference to her, and in that moment and in that activity, she is happy. She's pleased to see me, and she loves doing something that she was able to do before. The care home are getting to know her, and she's gaining, and they're gaining some insight as to what she enjoys. Us sharing information with the staff on the things that she used to love to do has proved very useful too. We suggested that involving my aunt in cleaning around the care home would give her a real sense of helping out, as she loved to occupy her day by cleaning the church. The staff recognised that she actually does love cleaning, and now they've given her some tasks to do around the care home, and that has really given her a sense of purpose. I know it might always not be like this, and her condition may deteriorate in time. However, in the meantime, I will identify as many activities that are meaningful for her and give purpose to her day. I'll cherish these happy days as much as I can, and I'll try to keep her busy for as long as I can. And Caroline wanted to end off by saying was, you don't have to make it something big and elaborate. Identify, just as Elaine and Cara were saying, something small, something that's meaningful to the person that you're caring for, and it can make a big, big difference to their day and make a big difference to your day too. So on Caroline's behalf, thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Caroline, for letting me tell your story. I'm just trying to stop sharing screen and I've lost my cursor. Amanda, can you take that back?
You'll have to do it yourself.
I've lost the cursor from my screen.
Just click on it. Just click on your screen, it should come back. Yeah, end show at the bottom.
Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, folks.
That's okay. Okay, so now Ray's going to speak now. Ray.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ray Fallon and I'm a carer involvement lead with Tide 2. I'm very happy to be with you all this afternoon and see so many faces here. So today we've heard different ideas on how we can look at identifying activities for people living with dementia. Meaningful activities are really very important for the person with the diagnosis, but also for the carer. For the person with dementia, it's all about participation and activities that's important to them, and it can relate to who they are now and who they were before the diagnosis. Involvement, praise and encouragement can bring lots of pleasures and stimulation, no matter how small or big the activity can be. Finding meaningful activities will vary from one person to another, as we all like and enjoy different things. Activities can be found within communities, in services and providers, or at home with family and friends. And the scope of these activities are really far and wide. Meaningful activities can stimulate the brain and bring total engagement. They bring happiness and they bring joy, and they retain inclusion and fruitful relationships. Finding the right activities can reduce or prevent boredom, isolation, or even depression. Encouraging and promoting activities for the cared for person can lead to happy and fulfilled days and helps the carer, helping them to feel less stressed, to having a more fulfilling relationship with the person for whom they're caring for too. So this brings me to a more complex situation. Some of our carers have highlighted that former hobbies, interests and activities just can't be any longer enjoyed by the person that has a diagnosis, just because of the very nature of that diagnosis. Some diagnoses of dementia are very rare, such as PCA, PCP, Lewy bodies, CBD. And unfortunately, these types of dementia take your physicality and your speech long before the cognitive brain is affected. For instance, with PCA, you can put your hand out to reach a cup and the cup will move. So that makes activities really difficult. And some in the early stages, people still have high cognitive levels. So I've got some quotations here from some of our member carers that are caring for people that have rarer dementias. And really what they're looking for is hints and tips that perhaps people here have had experience and can share with them. Participation in these activities for people with complex symptoms will absolutely make their life better. So the first quote I've got, somebody's asking me is, do we have a strategy that helps their mum who's, in their words, bored, and will only do stuff when her daughter instigates it? If the daughter suggests she's to do an activity, she's very enthusiastic, but it just doesn't work. And it's all reliant on the carer. What she would like to find is a way that her mum can take back ownership of her own entertainment to fill the hours when her daughter's not around, and not just resorting to falling asleep. Providing entertainment for mid to late stage PCA with severe visual impairment and poor memory, this person's saying audiobooks just don't cut it, because by that point, they can't remember what the story's about. Specific social activities for people diagnosed who are not diagnosed not in their late 70s or 80s. So they're looking for something for the younger person, because lots of times people with diagnosed with rare dementias are younger too. So these carers have asked if we could suggest anything meaningful for these people with the complex dementia, such as sight loss and reduced motor skills. I will then feed back anything that can be suggested to them. They'll be very grateful for any feedback, and thank you very much on their behalf for letting them hear their voice.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Ray. Okay, so is that both of you, Louise and Ray, both said, okay, that's great. Okay, thank you to everyone. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on to, I think we'll start on the kind of Q&A session at the moment. I think would be a good place to start. So I think we've heard, you know, a wide variety of experiences and a wide variety of possibilities. So I think what I want to do is just kind of throw open to all of you who are on the call today. So if we can use the chat box function, or if you'd like to actually ask a question to anyone or make a comment, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see there's a little reaction icon. It's like a wee smiley face with a plus sign. If you click on that, you'll see there's an option there to raise your hand. You can press that and that'll raise your hand virtually for us, and then we can come to you to ask you for your question, or if you want to just put it into the chat box, then please go ahead and do so. So it can either be if you've got a question for anybody who's been speaking today, or if you've got any questions yourself that you would like us to try and find answers for, or if you've got any, you know, experiences yourself of having to think about activities or try different activities with a person with dementia. It'd be really great to hear from you. So it's just to see if anyone's got any questions or comments at the moment, if anyone wants to raise their hand. I suppose if I'll kick off with a question, then I was going to ask Cara, if people are sitting on the call today and they would like to try maybe doing some kind of art-based activities at home, what would be your kind of top hints and tips for just even getting started just at home?
Yeah, so there's lots of like quite sophisticated kind of adult colouring pages. You can get places that are significant to people, and usually you can find pictures that then you can just colour in, or you can paint them, and that's also quite a good indication of something like the workshops I'm running would be beneficial for that person as well. If they react well to that, then maybe they'd be capable of moving on to kind of a larger painting and meeting other people through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think colouring pages are great, and you can really tailor them to the person's interests as well, either using colouring pencils or oil pastels or paints. Yeah, anything like that, it's great.
And would it also be good as well, I'm just thinking if you even just got like, because I think you can just get them out of the pound shop quite cheaply, just like a blank canvas, and just get some paints and just let them paint,
Yeah,
you know, and see what kind of comes out of your imagination. I think as well, someone's saying aqua paints are good for people who can't use paint. So yeah, anything I think like that might be a kind of good place to start off.
Yeah, definitely. And there aren't any rules. You don't need to worry about what it turns out like. It's just all about having a nice time, and being quite relaxed during it as well. Even just having something to focus on is just great, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also for me, in a previous role that I had, I used to manage a day centre for people with dementia. So obviously activities was a big part of what we did in the day centre. And I think that part of what Louise was talking about for Caroline and her aunt round about the cleaning activities and tasks, I think that there was points where I was really keen in the day centre to try, you know, a huge different array of activities, and we certainly did manage that, but quite a lot of the time it was looking at something quite simple that came from everyday life, like activities like some of the people in the day centre like to just help wash the dishes, or, you know, we had a washing machine to put all the kind of dishcloths in, and they used to like to do that and then hang them up outside. I used to just give some people a duster and some polish, and they would just, you know, go around about the day centre and polish any of the furniture and things like that. So I think sometimes it's just about, it doesn't have to be, you know, sometimes a specific activity in that sense. It can be things that are part of everyday life that they might have maybe enjoyed in the past, or might have never tried it in the past, but I mean, it's something that you can always do going forward. Has anyone got any other experiences round about kind of that kind of activity at home, or is there anyone? I see Eileen Beaton, you've got your hand up. Eileen, yes, would you like to? There you go. Yeah, hi.
My husband has vascular dementia. He used to do a lot of painting before his diagnosis. And occupational therapists suggested that if I just laid out his paints, he might go back to it. But he only really finished one painting, and then he kind of lost interest in it. But I was recommended to an Active Minds pack that I bought. And it had aqua paint in it, aqua paint books, and he was quite happy to do that. There were also pictures that you could show him, and he could reminisce with this picture pack, and he enjoyed that. There were also some jigsaws of varying degrees of difficulty, and other board games. He was fond of games anyway, so he's quite enjoyed doing that with the carer. Carers who come in. And they also had like a scented spray that you could spray the room and ask him what it reminded him of, and talk about maybe going a walk through a forest or going to the seaside, that kind of thing. And that's really been a very good pack to buy. It's been worth the money. I did buy it through self-directed support.
Yeah.
Because a social worker said that that would be of use to him during lockdown. But these various games, sometimes it was just maybe a game about transport, and talk about different forms of transport and reminisce about the past, etc. But I find the Active Minds pack very useful.
That's great. Thanks very much for that, Eileen. And also you've made another really excellent point, is that you can use your self-directed support budget for activities to help the person, as well as not just, you know, perhaps buying in support to come into the house or help. You can actually use it for activities as well. So that's another good point that you've made there. Ray, were you going to come in with something?
Yeah, I want to ask the audience a question. How many of you use music for an activity? Put your hands up.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how to work this.
That's all right. You can just put up your actual hand. We can still see it. It's all right. Yeah, it's no bother. You can either do a virtual or an actual hand. That's all right.
My husband will listen to music all day.
Yeah.
And we had a music session on this morning from Dementia Club, and he thoroughly enjoyed that. He doesn't want to join in, but I just put it on and he thoroughly enjoys it. You know, but he can't remember the name. He remembers the tunes, but he can't remember the names of the tunes.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, music is an excellent way and an excellent activity. And I think in some of the resources that Eileen's given me as well, that I can pass on, there's ways to start working that out for yourself as well. And there's also Playlists for Life's a really good charity that also give a lot of resources to help that. And again, it's a really great way to make a connection, especially if someone is in quite an advanced stage of dementia and maybe has lost their ability to talk to you in the same way. And that's one of a lot of the studies will prove that even in the advanced stages, that the music and the part of your memory that's retaining music is still very much there, and I've also experienced that myself with people in advanced stages of dementia, that what you'll see is you might even just see them starting to nod their head along with it, or sometimes they will just, the words will just come out because they're in there. Because if you think about sometimes yourself, if a song comes on the radio, you'll find yourself just remembering the words and you think, I don't know how I've remembered them, because it could be from years ago. But it's a really great way, I think, to connect with people and have a meaningful activity. And it's something that you can do in a really short space of time, because someone else asked me in the chat box about if you've not got a lot of time, especially this is connected to if you're visiting people in care homes at the moment, because I know that some of the restrictions mean that you might only have half an hour or an hour at a time sometimes with someone, and so music is a really quick way to start a connection and have a meaningful activity. And you only need to play a few songs just to kind of have that activity and have that meaningful time with the person. So if you've never thought about it before, it's really easy. It's just to think about either songs that you know that person used to like, or that you used to like together with them. Or again, sometimes because people have changed, it doesn't mean you can't try new music. So it might be something new that you've never tried before. And it's just a kind of way just to see what their reaction will be.
Yeah, well, I use YouTube quite a lot.
Yeah.
Music, that's fine, because I'm afraid he's coming up 88, and he just likes to sit and watch the telly. So, you know, too much telly. So I just put on the YouTube, and he's quite happy with that. Yeah, YouTube's an excellent resource as well, because a lot of times you can get all the videos on there free. Someone else has put in the chat box about their husband liking to sort socks and peel potatoes. So again, that's back to those kind of everyday activities. And someone else has said here that if you don't have Alexa, you can use MP3 players and you can download tracks, and you can get the splitter cable so that you can both have headphones on at the same time. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. To try and help get music in. Is there anyone else who's got any suggestions or things they've tried? Norma, I can see you've got your hands up there. Hi.
You're on mute, Norma.
Oh, there you go, that's you.
Yeah, just really to kind of continue the music theme. Again, it's quite helpful, I think, for people to hear music that's been of significance to them, not just music they enjoyed, but maybe, for instance, the track that they danced to at their wedding, you know, the first song that they danced to. So sometimes it's using music that evokes memories as well as kind of personal interests. And certainly when we were helping to care for my mum, both when she was in hospital and latterly in a care home setting for a number of years, my mum loved music. It was her passion. She used to love to go dancing, love music, love singing. We always used to go to concerts together. She could rhyme off, her favourite singer was Johnny Mathis, but she could, you know, rhyme off all the words of the songs. And even latterly, you know, she could still join in. But we used to do like kind of wee informal quizzes with her, which didn't need a lot of time. It was, you know, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes max, no resources. And we would say things like the first name of a well-known singer, and she would add the surname. Or we also did it with like film stars. So we would say Gregory, she would say Peck. We would say...
Or she would actually say Peccary, Gregory Peccary.
Sometimes she would go in funny things. Or we would say Brief, and she would say Encounter, films that we knew she'd liked. And it was amazing. They came like that, just stored in her memory. And the joy that she got at the success, because we were saying, oh, we never thought you'd get that for a minute. And she was just thrilled that she just smiled, you know, from ear to ear, because she was so engaged with it. And it literally was a couple of minutes that, and I say, took no resources whatsoever. And another thing, when mum was in a care home, there was another lady whose mum was in the care home, and her daughter, with the permission of the care home, she set up once a month a kind of art and craft group. And for people who were wandering a lot and who were quite agitated, that you would have thought would never have sat for any length of time, she had got birthday cards, Christmas cards, and glue sticks, glitter, pom-poms, and gave everybody a bit of card. And my mum also sat, and she had the daughter had cut out the strips of card for bookmarks, and the residents could just take pictures, stick them on, make a bookmark, put glitter on. And the engagement, I mean, there was people who sat an hour and a half, 2 hours, that you would never have envisaged doing that. And at the end, they had a bookmark, or they had, and you know, there was different levels for people with different both motor abilities and cognitive abilities. So some people could cut out the picture they wanted. There was also pre-cut pictures for people that just wanted to stick. And it was just a lovely way again to engage. And you know, some scissors, some glue sticks, and our friends just kept all their old birthday cards, Christmas cards. It wasn't resource intensive either. So again, even as an individual activity, it might just be something somebody might want to think about, a kind of a bookmark, or just a picture, a postcard. You know, sometimes they just stuck things onto an A4 piece of card, and a border was put around it, and a calendar tag in the bottom, and they could give it to somebody in their family. And they'd made a calendar, and it was very simple but very engaging.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying, Ray, the interesting thing about the quizzes that we had with Norma's mum was every day we went in, she actually asked for the quiz. She took control of it, and she said, when are we having a quiz? And you know, it was largely the same musicians or film stars or, you know, actors that we were doing every day, but that didn't matter. You know, for 5-10 minutes, she was completely engaged and completely on top of it. And I'm sure there's got to be ways that other folks can adapt similar principles.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, David. And, you know, the music thing, I think, is also as beneficial to the carer as it is for the person that's been diagnosed. Yeah. The person with dementia has listened to music that they really adore, and it's doing something for them, and they're getting lots out of it and very engaged, then the stress levels can just go for the carers. Yeah. But they're also getting them enjoyment out of the music too.
Yeah. The other thing we did until the lockdown was we've got a dog that we took into an Alzheimer Scotland Dementia Resource Centre in Glasgow, and the difference he made. Now, our dog wasn't unlike the dog that you had, Cara. He wasn't a dementia dog. He was just a family pet that we had registered as a therapet dog. And we took him in, and all he did was be himself. He just went from person to person, allowed himself to be patted. And the folks who were there at the day centre just absolutely loved him. But unfortunately, it all came to a halt with lockdown.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, David, my cousin took our parrot in. And when she phoned and told me, you know, I was like, you what? Residents have a ball because he's just a blether, and this parrot just spoke. So it was wonderful, you know.
Yeah, and again, I think that's other good examples of activities as well, because things like with pets, you know, it's that kind of sensory thing of just, you know, stroking pets makes people feel really calm, and it's something that you can do. Another couple of things some people are putting in the chat box as well about using old photographs, like black and white photographs, maybe from the town that you used to live in, and things like that. And again, photographs are a great way of starting to kind of connect with people as well. And another couple that I know of that have worked really well is round about food as well. So food's a really good activity to base it on. So it can either be, again, it might be foods that you've enjoyed together in the past, or it could be going back to getting, like, you know, old sweeties that you used to get. Like I can remember back when you could get a quarter of cola cubes or something like that. So maybe that would be something they would enjoy the taste of, or you could make it around a wee themed thing. So one of the things we used to do in the day centres, we had a kind of like chair passport type thing. So basically just picked a different country, and then on that specific day we decided to do like some food. So say it was Spain, we'd do Spanish food, and we'd play Spanish music and try and get some Spanish, you know, themed dress up stuff as well, and just kind of do things like that. So you can just pick like themed foods round about the world that you might, and again, it could be something you've never tried before, and it might just be something you could do together. Either they might be able to help you doing some of the preparation of it, or just sitting down and having it together. You could do like a wee afternoon tea together. There's lots of different things you can do round about food and drink, which is still an activity which you can both enjoy together. And the other one that I used to do that was quite popular as well, just based on some people talking, was getting, you know how like different Scottish words for things like bathies and things like that, and just going back over and saying, oh, do you know what this word means? And sometimes again that would stimulate conversation or make people remember about the way that they used to call different words, depending on where you came from, where you lived as well. Somebody's put in here, good strawberries and cream for Wimbledon. Yes, anything, you can just think of different themes to have round about food as well, which is really good. So yeah, and everything that's coming in the chat box as well, any kind of suggestions we'll put in the handouts as well that we get for the sessions as well. Has anyone got any other suggestions at the moment that they've tried or they think would be a good option for people? Or if there's anyone equally as well, because it is really difficult to think about doing activities, and some of you maybe be a bit apprehensive about something or maybe a bit worried about something, anything at all like that, go ahead and ask any questions, and we'll try and give you some support round about that. Cara, you got?
Yeah, I've just put a link in the chat. There's a really good website that I use during the day service, and it's the National Library of Scotland, and they've got an entire section that's like all old silent films, and they're all separated by decade, and you can find some really good ones about workplaces or hometowns and things, and because they're silent you can chat over the top of them and speak about what everyone's doing in the films, which has been really good as well.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. Other ones I'm just thinking about as well that are quite good at, that don't really take a lot as well, is a bit of pampering things as well. So you could do painting people's nails, you can do foot spas, you can do, I used to also like doing, like, if you had like scarves and nice jewellery, you could do a bit of kind of dressing up and feeling good about yourself, because I like to do that as well, or doing different kind of hairstyles and things. So it just depends on, again, what the person might like to do, but there's little things that you can try that don't cost a lot of money or don't need a lot of kind of input. They're things that you have round about the house as well, so there's all different things that you can do like that as well. Has anyone else got
music? Could I just say that when you were talking about the music, my husband likes to keep time to the music. So I got him to make some simple maracas, which he really enjoys, because our local carers centre arranged with Richmond Fellowship to start up singing for the brain. So he likes being interactive and beating time with the music, and also use the music for simple exercises.
Yeah.
The thing that really worried me was that first lockdown, I was in the shielding category myself, and so I couldn't go out and put the music on. And he liked Neil Diamond, and we had that blazing Sweet Caroline blazing. It was a great tune to get him to move. When I say move, very simple exercises, but that really worked a treat. To keep him mobile.
I was just remembering that when my family from Holland were over before, my mum used to like when we would get out games, like games we used to play, just even silly games, like these silly ones where you put something in your mouth and then you try to speak and you can't, so everybody bursts out laughing. But one my mum really enjoyed, given that she's a 89-year-old woman, she liked the table football. She used to have a great time with the, going full gusto with the table football, and she was actually quite good at it as well. So, even these kind of games that, people played when they were young, that's something that, we were quite surprised that she actually enjoyed it as much as she did.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, they're all really great examples, and that's the thing. Sometimes it might be something you might think they wouldn't have liked to do, and it's been something that she's enjoyed. Elaine, did you want to come in there?
Yes, sorry, I'm not sure if I put my hand up.
It's okay,
I just put my hand up. So I was just really wanting to pick up the physical activity and keeping moving piece of work. We did it's not me at all actually, so I won't take any credit, but there's a couple of physiotherapists in Glasgow did some really nice seated exercises that people can follow. Again, a worksheet, but they've actually done it as a film, Amanda, I could send to you all to have a look at.
That'd be great.
And then I was thinking as well, when you're talking about the music, and I don't know if any of you've tried it and you may not want to, but another nice thing that I've done before is actually just use a balloon as well, because the whole idea is that people just keep moving as well. So actually, because I don't know about you, but if a balloon comes my way, I can't not hit it. So it's just my instinct is to want to do something with it, and same with bubbles, but you know what, bubbles in your house. So just have a think about that as well. And if you've got younger folk or grandchildren visiting as well, get them to blow it up. Another thing I just wanted to share with you, because I know the website I pointed out, we know one thing, and one of the folders that's been used quite a bit and we've had really good feedback is card games. I don't know about you, but we've still got cards in our house, and we've got Fran who does a video on it. So just giving you some ideas about different types of card games as well. So have a look at it and see what you think. Actually, we have had good feedback, Nikki, because some of the dementia advisors used it in Dundee. It's just something, again, something different to do on a weekend, even with playing music, with some nice food being baked as well.
Yeah.
Complete
no,
sensory overload maybe, so you may want to do them all at once, but just some ideas just with what we're speaking.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think also what I would like to say is I think that, you know, we're suggesting all of these things today, and it's also just to take stock of the fact that we know that when you're caring for somebody with dementia, it can be really overwhelming, and there can be lots of stress and lots of strain, and sometimes you might feel like there's never enough hours in the day, and you might be feeling guilty with thinking, oh, I would love to do all these kind of activities and I don't know how I'm going to do these. And what I wanted to say was that I think it's just about giving yourself a bit of a break and knowing that you can't structure, you know, activities to be every single minute of the day. That's just not realistic. And I think what I would want to say to you is that if you are worried about this or thinking, how am I going to do this, then it's just maybe even just starting off with just one thing and not trying to do too many things and thinking I have to do 3, 4, 5 different activities, just picking one to start with. And I think also about being realistic that some of the things you try, the person might not like them and it might not work. And I think it's to try and just let that go a bit and not get too deflated if the first thing you try, you know, you don't have any success with, or they don't like it, or you know, it feels as if they're not engaging with it. I think there might be some trial and error for some people to get it to the right one that works for you. Or sometimes you might just be lucky and it might be the first thing you try and you get them engaging it. So I just wanted to say that those are things that might come up, and certainly some carers have talked to us about feeling that way as well, that they're a bit, you know, feeling a bit stressed about having to try and incorporate that. So it's just about, you know, saying just take it, you know, one step at a time, and just even starting off with one thing, you know, will be a step in the right direction. Because I know a lot of people are struggling as well, because a lot of services obviously had stopped over lockdown, and I hope that some are going to start back up as we now start to see more of the restrictions lifting, but it might be quite some time for some of you to get those kind of services back in that would do more of that type of activity with the person. So hopefully we've given you some ideas of things that you can try at home, or I know some of you have been speaking about the person might be living in a care home at the moment, so there might be some of these that you can take with you or transport, if that makes sense, to the care home as well, which would be really good. And I think also in terms of the care homes, we also know, because our next webinar in 2 weeks' time is about care homes, and so we will be talking a bit in that roundabout activities during a short period of time as well, so that will be in part of that. But I think also just because of the restrictions, and you know, each care home is different at this point in time, I think what you should hold on to is, if you do have a shortened visit at the moment, it's about thinking ahead. So you can start to plan in your head here, so you could be writing down, thinking that this is what I would like to try and start doing once the visitation is getting longer, because hopefully over time we will see that happen again. So it's just a way to try and start maybe like planning and looking forward to something in the future, maybe looking at a date a couple of months ahead of time, thinking like, what would I like to plan in here? And then hopefully you can start those conversations with the staff at the care home to see if you can start to look at how you would be able to do that with the person, and it gives you something to look forward to, and something that, you know, you can keep chatting to the person about, so that you're keeping something connected with you each time you go, if that might make sense, hopefully as well. And other people are putting in here, yeah, lots of buckaroo if MD still got that. Some people might have this stuff in your attics, and it's worth money now. And bean bags, and yeah, all different activities you can try with someone. Yes,
sorry,
yeah, hi Nikki. Yes, sorry.
My hand up. I just wanted to quickly mention, alongside just what you were speaking about, that services have shut and there's not been as much face-to-face activity, which can sometimes be really supportive in choosing what activity to take part in. It is true that we have been closed. In Alzheimer Scotland, our resource centres have been closed. We are, with Dementia Awareness Week next week, that will be the start of a return to some small scale activity. So all our localities have got some plans in place for small scale outdoor groups, small scale indoor activity groups, as well as some face-to-face carers groups. All of them should give you the opportunity to either attend in person, face-to-face, or if you still feel more comfortable or not comfortable, with the, still feel more comfortable with the digital and not necessarily in person at the moment, we completely understand that. So we are working on delivering a blended approach where there's the opportunity to attend these groups either in person if our numbers allow that, or through a digital link, so that you have the feeling of being part of a bigger community, a bigger activity group, but you're still doing that from the safety of your own home if that's how you feel is the best way for you to attend. So there's all those opportunities. Alongside that, next week, again in Dementia Awareness Week, Alzheimer Scotland are introducing our virtual resource centre. So everything that you would get in a dementia resource centre on your high street or in your locality, we're also replicating virtually. So it'll be part of our website, and you can attend. You can go. There will be a suite of activities there. I think Elaine's working with the team to put some activities on there as well. Cara's working with the virtual resource team to put some digital activities on. Our art group's going to be on there. I know next week the first live event is going to be a virtual tour of the V&A in Dundee. So all these things will be on our virtual resource centre, and it's just worth having a look on our website. If I could access the chat, I would put the link in there, but I'm having trouble with that.
I don't know. This happened the last time for Gillian as well. I don't know if it's something from your... because I think everybody else can see the chat box, can't you?
Yeah, I'm getting that.
No, can people not see the chat box? I don't know. You should be able to see it.
So can't see it.
No, I can only see anything that I've put in, so I'd shared the link for the Jamboard as well.
Yeah.
I don't think people will be seeing that. Maybe you could copy that, because I think everybody might. But yeah,
do that just now. You should be able to see.
I think we're putting together some information after this webinar, so we'll definitely include the link to the website and some more information about the virtual resource centre, which the purpose of that is to offer wider activity as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely, as we said, we'll make sure everybody gets all the links that have been mentioned today, and they'll be in the handout as well. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for you to access all of that. And also as well, if there's anyone who goes away after today's session and a question comes into your head, or you want me to put you in touch with Nikki or Elaine or anyone who's spoken today, if you just email me, you'll all have my email address from getting the link, then I'm happy to pass that on for you and connect you wherever you might need some help with that. Okay, I'm going to hopefully try and share this Jamboard link into this chat if I can. Can everybody, did that come up? Do people see it?
No.
No.
Oh.
It's just chats directly to people that come up rather than the chat with everyone.
Well, it shouldn't, because it should let me do it to everyone. So I don't understand why it's not working this time.
It's only saying to LSN Tide, that's the only person, or you can send a message to.
Yeah.
It's not coming up to everyone.
That's strange, because normally it should just let...
Amanda,
yeah.
if you took host back, who's hosting? Because this happened to me last week during the session as well.
Oh, well, can you check on both yours to see if you can make me back, if either you or Louise are the host, can you make me back to being the host?
I just say thank you to everyone, but I have to go.
Okay, that's fine, Eileen, no problem at all. No, thank you.
Singing for the brain at 3 o'clock.
Listen, it's okay, don't worry about it at all about the Jamboard. If we can't get on today, that's fine. We've got lots of suggestions and lots of hints and tips that have come up through the chat box anyway, so we can use that instead, and I can put it onto the Jamboard afterwards, so that's no problem at all. But yeah, I would just like to Thank everybody for coming along today. As I said, we'll have the recording. What we'll do is we'll send out a link to this recording to all of you who have attended today, and also to anyone else who is looking to attend and kind of see it back through the replay. And then we'll also make sure that you get emails with all the relevant links and access to handouts, etc. And as I said, if you've got any questions after that, then please just get in touch with me. Okay, has anyone got anything else before we finish off today? No? Right, well, thank you so much for all of you coming along, and I hope there's been some helpful hints and tips there. And the next webinar, as I said, is on the 9th of June, and that's round about care homes and people who have someone living in a care home. So again, if you're interested in that, you can just get in touch and we'll send you the links for that. But thank you everyone, and thanks to Elaine and Cara and Louise and Ray for speaking today. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Bye.
She's only lost